That's who I have.
Oh, okay. I thought I was going to come in here and talk crazy.
Hello world, and welcome back to Gridiron Campbell, the only podcast that puts its money where its mouth is. I'm your host, Rich Ryan, and I'm joined by the entire collective, the Disciple, Brett Colson, Donnie, DP Peters, and the resident moose himself, Mo Nawara. If you're watching this on YouTube, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. Listeners, rate and review on your podcatcher of choice. 5 stars only, like a man who was just ejected in the first NFL game of the season. Jalen Carter. That's going to be a very expensive loogie for my guy. Football is here. If you guys are new, welcome. If you are returning, welcome back. We've entered actually yesterday or today it was. Donnie always waits until the very last second to fire the entries in. We entered Circa Sports Million, where we will be putting 5 games against the spread each week into the contest. 1 from each one of us, and the 5th and final one from the collective machine. Everyone submits every game against the spread with a confidence rating, and that final one comes from the most confidence amongst the 4 of us. We are also in Circa Survivor, which is a gaudy $15 million this year. We each have our own entry into that contest.
15. Bro, it's 16.
15 was the guarantee, right? And it's up to 16?
Yeah, it's over 16.
Wow. Congrats to Circa. R.I.P. Westgate. I mean, you guys really absolutely fumbled the bag on this one. But yeah, Jeffrey Benson and the team at Circa, well done. And we're excited to be there. And each week we look at, there's 3 components to the show. There's split games where there's 2 hosts on one side, 2 hosts on the other. There are lone wolves where a host is on an island and has to defend their pick. Then we will reveal the card. And then at the end, if there are any consensus picks that don't make the card that we have not discussed, we will talk about those before ending with Survivor. So let's start with the split contests as I'm getting my bearings here. This is the first show. There's always some bumps in the road, getting back on the bike. And we start in Cleveland for an AFC North tilt between the Browns and the Bengals. Let's see if I got my buttons here. There it is. And we have very strong opinions on both sides of this game. None stronger than Mo Nawara, who is laying the points with Joe Burrow on the road. The look on Brett's face says it all.
I knew I was going to get into some trouble today.
No, you're good, bro. You're good. You're totally good.
Combination of hard and soft factors for me in this game. One of them is that everyone's been talking the entire offseason about how slow the Bengals have started, how bad they've been against the Browns. I feel like this team is going to come out ready to beat the piss out of an absolutely awful Browns team, you guys. And I think this line is probably at least a point short, maybe 2. The Bengals, they have struggled against this Browns defense. That is without a doubt over the years. But here's the thing. I'm looking at this Browns defense. I think this defense has significantly slipped, you guys. I mean, just looking up and down this roster, I'm multiple rookies slated to start. I mean, yes, they are high draft picks, but rookies still usually come out and get their asses kicked in pro football. You combine that with a secondary that has degraded over the years. You combine that with a pass rush that is basically Myles Garrett and the Fun Bunch. I mean, I don't know who the rest of these guys are, pretty much. So I don't like this pass rush. I don't like really anything about this defense. Losing JOK was pretty big. Plugging in a rookie and a guy I've never heard of as the starting linebackers. I don't think this is a good defense anymore. So if you don't have a good defense, the Bengals are probably going to score 30 on you. And if the Bengals score 30 on you, that means you need to score more than 24 to cover this number. And I have absolutely no idea how the Browns are scoring 24 points on anyone this year. I understand the Bengals don't have a good defense, but this is the Browns offense. This is Joe Flacco, who is another year removed from being terrible multiple years ago, guys. I don't see any way this ends well for the Browns. And I think Flacco has, the clock's got to be like, 5 weeks before this guy's replaced. So that's probably the high end. So I think the Bengals are just going to come out and probably kill the Browns.
Brett, you'll have to wait just a little bit longer because DP, I don't know what else there is left to say because that was a diatribe from Mo, but Donnie also has the Bengals in his top 5.
Yeah, I mean, listen, like Mo said, this is, at least for me, it's all really about the offenses and the quarterback specifically. One of these teams can score 30 plus, the other one might not be able to score 14. And I don't care how bad the Bengals defense is. If there's not an offense on the other side of the ball that is able to score with the Cincinnati offense, then I think in here it's justified that they are 5-point favorites on the road. I think it is justified that Mo and I are willing to lay those points. I think this whole narrative, this nonsense about how the Bengals start slow is just gone way too effing far. Like, that's all anyone is talking about. And yeah, I really like the spot for the Bengals overall.
All right, Brett. Obviously, it's a split contest, so I too am on the Browns, but I am extremely low on this game. I think this game has a very wide range of outcomes. That's why I didn't have a very strong opinion on it. But Brett, you obviously have one on the home dog in Cleveland.
Yeah, a couple things at play here. First, like Mo said, I mean, the Bengals, they are the most healthy they've been coming into a season in recent memory, which is big because they've embarrassed themselves in week 1, 5 of the past 6 years. And that is the narrative coming in, is that their starters are playing in the preseason, they're getting in sync. Everyone's looking at that. But I still don't think this team did enough to address the gaping holes in this roster from last year. Offensive line, defense, all the firepower in this offense. And I still don't view this team as a playoff team in the AFC. And so then how is a middling team a 6-point favorite on the road against any NFL team, especially one that's in the same division and that has a defensive line that can exploit their biggest deficiency on offense? I got a stat here from Kleb TA, and this could change, obviously, but in 8 career starts against Cleveland, Burrow has generated a negative EPA in 4 of those games. He only has 20 negative EPA games in his career. So Cleveland has had his number, and with Myles Garrett, Mason Graham up front, and a Jim Schwartz system that 2-3 years ago had some of the best defenses in the NFL, I love this spot for Cleveland in week 1. I think it's a great contest play too. Nobody's clicking on Joe Flacco and the Sticky Browns after last year. I love this one.
Let's go. Contest plays in week 1, baby.
Of course.
ODB just shut the damn podcast off.
Of course.
Week 1 is just as valuable as week 18. So leverage doesn't matter when you have it. Leverage is leverage. To back up that point from, there's a fight right now. We're going to have multiple ejections in this contest. Helmets are off. Punches are being thrown right now on Lincoln Financial Field. Keep it classy, Philadelphia. Donnie's favorite crew, living up to the hype.
Who started it? I mean, Philly started it for sure.
I don't know.
Right?
I just looked up and it was just mayhem at the 20-yard line.
It was for sure Philly. The guy was ripping at the ball after the thing, and then he ripped off a Dallas guy's helmet. It was Philly.
To back up what Brett was just saying, I'm using DraftKings handle this year because I think it's the most readily available information. Ticket counts and stuff, the sources that I've used previously are just kind of all up in the air. Right now, the handle is 27% on the Browns, so heaps are coming in on the Bengals, so I understand that angle. I just think, to put a pin on this, I think there's a very wide range of outcomes in this game, especially the most evident one is on the Cleveland offensive side of the ball. What is Joe Flacco going to look like? It's early on the season. He hasn't been nicked up. He hasn't been knocked around. Can he be a bit of a spring chicken and get the ball to some playmakers that really aren't bad. I know Brett Swoon, Jerry Jeudy, Cedric Tillman is upright right now. So can Cleveland keep pace with a Cincinnati defense that is extremely suspect, right? In the event that Cincinnati does go out in score. I am buying into the narrative, however, from a straight up perspective of Cincinnati has heard nothing but they start out slow. They can't win in September for months now. And this feels like in division could be a bit of a circled spot for Burrow and the boys. Let's move to another divisional tilt, this time a double cat game. As the Carolina Panthers travel to it's not a division. It should be a division.
I was going to say,
it's
wait a second.
Again, week one. It's week one, guys. It's week one, guys. They're both in the South in different conferences. They travel to Jacksonville to take on the Jaguars. The Jaguars are 3.5-point favorites, and Mo has the dog in his top 5. Talk about Carolina.
Yeah, this one I just felt like maybe was a hair too high on the hook. I do think this Jaguars team is quite overrated, so I guess that's just what this one comes down to me. That being said, I understand Carolina has an absolutely atrocious defense, so if they had a very good game, it wouldn't surprise me. But I think Carolina can probably keep up. I don't like this Jacksonville defense. They have maybe a couple of okay pass rushers, but what did that result in? Nothing meaningful last year. It's not like this team was getting after the quarterback, and I don't see how anybody could like the rest of this defense. So it makes me sad that Jalen Coker is out, to be honest, because he was such a reliable target for the Panthers offense last year and really kind of just helped them keep up with the sticks in a lot of ways when a lot of other parts of the offense were just like boom bust, especially the pass catchers like Xavier Legette. He was just a disaster pretty much. So they really could have used Jalen Coker, and obviously trading away Thielen. Like, I know that his value is very limited this year, but he was still moving the sticks too. So
he's a body. He's a body in a receiver room that was lacking talent. Now all of a sudden
he
lose 2 guys.
He understands how to like get first downs by finding the holes in the coverage. So in a league where everybody wants to play zone 70% of the time, that has value, right? So I'm a bit worried about that, but overall, I just think this Jags defense is too stinky with a first-time head coach who, you know, for all we know is going to be terrible. We have no idea what he's going to be like. So I'm going to take the 3.5, not super confidently, but I'm going to take the 3.5.
I think we know he's going to call a good game, at least based on what we saw last year. But my biggest thing is, so going into this, if you told me 2 weeks ago, these lines, the Panthers would have been in my top 5 for sure. Then they traded Adam Thielen. Then Jalen Coker went on IR. And then Ike Ekwonu's appendix exploded. So everything is going in the wrong direction for the Carolina Panthers, a team who, like you said, are not likely to get very many stops based on the personnel that they're going to roll out on defense. I'm saying all this. Meanwhile, Donnie has the highest opinion. CeeDee Lamb's going to go for 200 in this game. Donnie has the highest opinion on the home team, the Jags, in this game.
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of flipping a coin on this one, and then, you know, as it was going through my head, I went with the fact that I want to go with the team here that I think, and this is a very strong emphasis on think, has the higher upside in this spot, meaning I'm buying into some of that hype that Mo was selling. You know, with Liam Cohen coming in, maybe he's the one that gets Trevor Lawrence finally going in the right direction. And if that happens, you know, I think this offense could hum, and they're up against a bad defense. On the other side of the ball, I mean, this wide receiver room now just like looks super thin. Like, it's kind of scary to me. I don't know. I just feel like the Panthers are going to be a pretty linear team, and I'll just gamble on that upside for an offense that I think could put up a big number, but it is a big if, and I could be coming out of this one with egg on my face because, again, I said it before on one of our earlier pods, I'm not fully bought into Trevor Lawrence, so this to me is a big make it or break it year for him. But if Liam Cohen can get him cooking, then I think it's a great spot for them.
This next game, also not a divisional tilt. not going to make that mistake again as the Titans travel out west to take on Bo Nix and the Broncos. I have the highest opinion on this game. Yes, horses can make that sound. I'm laying the 8.5 with the Broncos in this game. It bubbled my top 5. I'm listening to what Mo said a couple weeks ago, or maybe last week when we were discussing week 1. And I just think this is the absolute worst spot for Cameron Ward to walk into in professional football. His first start at altitude against a ferocious Broncos defense. I might be the number 1 Cam Ward guy on this podcast, being a Miami supporter now that my wife Jenna worked there for 2 years, finally having a team in Unprofesh to support. Watching every snap of his last year, I think he was the deserved first overall pick, a deserved Heisman candidate. A lot of times he made magic out of nothing because he had to. And now you look at the summer so far for his weapons that entered the league. You have a Restrepo that got cut. You've got a Damian Martinez that can barely crack the rotation. You've got an Arroyo in Seattle who has absolutely no buzz at the tight end position. And all of a sudden, it makes it look like what Cam Ward was doing last year even more impressive in these games where his defense was giving him no help and his offensive weapons were probably extremely lackluster. So later on in the season, I might be the number 1 Titan supporter on this podcast because I think Cam Ward could just be him. But I just think this is an awful spot for a guy learning to play pro football on the road. And the Broncos are they probably are the best team in the league to play front running football, right? To just get behind those hogs up front, kill a game, Wisconsin style, as Mo would always say, run the score up by just going straight. So I just think it's an awful spot for the Titans. And that's why I favor the Broncos here. Mo, you have the highest opinion on the Tennessee Titans. They are very low, but you got to pick up the shield.
I just think that basically has been hammered into the market from jump. Like this line was like 7, I think, a couple months ago. So I think people have basically pounded that angle into it until the numbers reflecting it. So I just feel like at this point, I'm just going to take the points and hope Cam Ward can make a game of it here. Would I actually be betting the Titans? No, because like you said, it's rough, man. It's altitude. It's a very tough pass rush. It's a pass rush that's facing an offensive line that I think has quite a bit of talent, but they've got a ways to go in terms of like building continuity, stuff like that. I think that's going to take some time. And then you have a receiver core that I don't expect to give him much, if any, help. So I'm not loving this situation. But that being said, this is still a huge line and a Denver team that, like you said, is good, but are they a run away from you good? I don't know. I think this Titans defense has talent. I'm curious to see what they end up producing. They weren't good last year, but I feel like there's players on this team, man. I feel bad with how much slag L'Jarius Sneed is getting after. He deserved it. He sucked last year, and he's my guy because he helped lead the Chiefs to multiple Super Bowls, but maybe, getting fat and happy after his contract here, he bounces back
slamming the mute button to turn it off. Lead the Chiefs to multiple Super Bowls.
Well, he did. The defense was the best part of those teams, and he was a key player on those defenses, man.
Lead. Yeah, just to put a pin on the Titans receivers, it's funny. So Calvin Ridley is going to get his yards and touchdowns, right? He's a fantasy darling because at the end of the year, when you look up, he's going to have a yardage output and a touchdown output that is somewhat impressive. But the path to getting there is going to be so ugly and so laid with disgusting drops and idiotic plays that we've seen over and over again. So from like a real football perspective, again, I don't know how much help Cam Ward is going to have when Ridley is his WR1 and he's got something Chig Okonkwo running routes, the corpse of Tyler Lockett playing meaningful snaps. So I just think it's going to be a rough start for the kid, and that's why I'm on the Broncos. Split games out of the way. It's time for some Lone Wolves. in any member of the collective's top 5, I have the most lone wolves with 3, and one of them soft bubbled my top 5, and it is the Houston Texans traveling to Los Angeles, my backyard, to take on the Rams. My buttons are sticking here. Texans getting 3 points in the dome. And this was a fairly easy cap for me because this game, one of my first bets this morning was under the total of 44. I think this is very much an under in this contest. Two offenses that I think will struggle off the bat. Texans maybe for the whole season because of their lack of offensive line talent, and the Rams because who knows what the hell Matthew Stafford is with a back. Apparently there's some Javonte Williams, 2 touchdowns. There's some stories going on around about Stafford's back that aren't the best. Like, this guy is going to be needing to take the highest grade of drugs to play pro football. The weekend at Bernie's memes have been flying. And at the end of the day, these are 2 defenses that I really love. The Rams came into form last year with a lot of young talent. Jared Verse just immediately came into the league and was a dude. And we know the talent on Houston and how much D'Amico Ryans is going to have them ready to go from a defensive standpoint. So I think this is just going to be a grindy, low-scoring affair that people just assume these quarterbacks indoors is going to be a high-scoring game. And if I think it's going to be a grindy, low-scoring affair, I have to take the dog in this spot. And it doesn't hurt that the dog is, well, I guess they're getting a slight majority of the handle. So they're not getting a ton of love from the market. Mo, again, the highest opinion on the other side, or did I screw that? I'm already screwing this up, aren't I? Yes, Mo has this as his absolute last pick. It is Brett who has the Rams bubbling. Week 1, guys, week 1. I'm gonna say I have 30 more minutes to say week 1.
We've been talking about how this Houston offense might just be bad. With the bottom 3 offensive line, no running backs, Stroud coming off a poor season. What's his confidence looking like coming into the year? The only thing that looked semi-appealing was the receiving group, but even that now might be without their number 2 option in Christian Kirk. He hasn't practiced yet this week. So, yeah, as scary as it feels to back Matt Stafford with the unknowns about his back injury, it's still Matt Stafford. Dude's a gamer. Dude's a baller. He's going to go out and do his thing. And the Rams are just a better team in my eyes and should be laying more than 3. I capped this at 3.5. LA might be popular by Saturday, but I think that would be for good reason.
If you told me in a couple of weeks that Stafford is fully healthy and the Rams offense is a wagon and Devontae Adams is that dude, it would not shock me. And we could look back and you're right. This line looking back could be, why wasn't this 5 or 6? Why wasn't the market pressure pushing this, closer to a touchdown? But with the information that we have now, I just can't buy into the Rams being a wagon just yet. Let's move to the greatest football team. Miami and the Dolphins, the greatest football team. Everybody is folding Miami, folding Mike McDaniel, folding this offense that we've seen be one of the most efficient in the league. And I understand the offensive line concerns. I understand the defensive concerns on this team. But I am not yet ready to put my faith into Daniel Jones, QB1 for the Indianapolis Colts, especially when, and this is one that I am very certain of, 80% of the DraftKings handle right now is on the Indianapolis Colts. So I am not going to line up with every drooler on the planet to bet Daniel Jones and the Colts in week 1. It's just not something I'm willing to do.
They're not putting this on their cards, though.
I don't know. I think one of the most common narratives this summer has been that the Dolphins will crater. And I've said it myself. I don't like the long-term outlook of this team. I think Mike McDaniel could be gone by Halloween. But I do understand the upside case, right? And if the Dolphins go out and score 30 plus and Tyreek Hill is Tyreek Hill and this offense is humming, I would be 0% shocked from that outcome. That said,
people might put this
I
on
have
their
no
cards because it's a pick in the contest, right? And it's -1.5 in real life. So I mean, people are going to look at that line value and just click on the Colts if they like the Colts.
DP, you have the highest opinion. They bubbled your top 5, so talk about Indy.
Listen, Daniel Jones scares me. I think that's a given, but can Miami necessarily do anything about it? Can this defensive line get to him? I mean, I don't know. I think Dimes will be okay. I'm not asking for the world as a ceiling for him. I'm asking just be okay against a team that I think is not that good, and I feel like they're just also in disarray. I mean, Rich, you brought up the narrative of everyone, talking about Miami's bad, they're not going to do anything, whatever. I don't get the sense in one bit that Miami gives a shit. And that's a problem to me. I don't know. I don't think they they get all hot and bothered by the fact that people are saying that they're not going to amount to anything. They might go way under their win total, first coach fired, all that sort of stuff. I don't know. And this is totally for all the poker players out there, field player, white magic, whatever. The vibes I get out of Miami are just not good. Again, they just don't care. And then if Indy's defense, speaking more to the trenches, is able to get after Tua in any way, shape, or form, we've seen this before. Tua under pressure is 1, a disaster, 2, 90% to get hurt. So, I mean, how can I back Miami in any way, shape, or form here? This feels it's probably going to be popular. I do think that some people will put it on their card. I'm not sure if it'll be a top 3 or 5 consensus pick, but I think it'll be upper half. I think there's enough here to but I'm fine with having that week 1. I'm just trying to pick winners and see where we go from there.
This last one, I am very certain it is a division game. The Detroit Lions travel to Lambeau to take on the Green Bay Packers, who are 2.5-point favorites. This is on the lower middle part of my card, garnering absolutely no confidence points, but I'm just fading market sentiment. I'm just fading everybody who is now in love with the Packers, everyone who didn't listen to us. They should have listened to us 2 or 3 weeks ago when Brett was out here telling people to scoop them up at 2,200 to win the Super Bowl. Now, they made a trade. Who'd they get? Did they get somebody important? Oh, yeah. They got Micah Parsons, the guy who's not on my television screen right now because he is in Lambeau. But he might have to take an epidural to play pro football, which is a bit wonky. This is just a full fade of market sentiment here. Everyone's down on the Lions. Lost both coordinators. Sky is falling. They can't be the same Lions, but they still have the same talent on both sides of the ball. I think this line is pretty much perfect. So I don't have a very strong opinion here. And I'll tee it up to Brett, who is the Packers guy and who had Green Bay soft bubble his top 5.
It's one of those weird spots where I like the Packers more in this spot before they got Micah Parsons. They would have been on my card if this was sitting at 1.5 without Micah Parsons. I think this, and then that's a question of did it move from 1.5 to 2.5 because of Parsons, or was it headed there anyway? Maybe it'd be at 2. I love the Packers. I did not put this on my card though because I feel like people are buying in now. And what is Parsons even going to be on Sunday? Even if he does play, he hasn't played in this system yet. I don't know how much they're even going to use him. So while I do like the Packers anyway, I don't love the number and the fact that they're probably going to be pretty popular.
Let's move to New Orleans, where the Arizona Cardinals are 6.5-point favorites against the home Saints. And Mo Nuora is Olympic-style triple somersault diving deep under the threshold and putting an X next to Spencer Rattler. Didn't make his top 5, but it bubbled, Mo. You like New Orleans.
I just think this line is a little bit too high. I mean, do I like New Orleans? I think this is 32 out of 32. I think this is the worst team in the NFL. But at the end of the day, you're still trusting Kyler Murray to go cover a decent sized number on the road when you take the Cardinals here. And I don't know if I do, but I think they should definitely go there and win. But like, I want to lay points like 6.5 here? I don't know, man. This team is going to try to run the ball. I think that's another thing. It might work, but I don't know. The Saints, I think this team still has professional pride, man. I don't think they're just going to come out and get trucked by a, okay Arizona offense that hasn't really, like, Kyler Murray is not a guy you trust to just go out and blow people out, right? Like, I like to back Kyler Murray when he's an underdog, when the line is close. I don't like to back Kyler Murray when I need 7-point wins. So I don't think the Saints are remotely good, but I could see this game being closer than the market thinks. So I clicked on the Saints. I think there's some value. Would I actually bet it? Probably not.
I'm proud of DP. This is one that I was staring at. I knew I should just love the Cardinals. Spencer Rattler is just so bad. And I understand what you're saying, Mo, about it's week 1. The Saints haven't quit yet, right? They do have a bunch of veterans in the front 7. But at what point in the contest are the Saints going to be able to put together first downs and score points? I don't know. I don't know how much magic they can get out of the new head ball coach there. But Donnie did the damn thing, and he put the Cardinals in his top 5.
I mean, I don't even have any notes. The Saints are so effing bad. What is the point of this game? I mean, I'm serious. Like, you want to say that the Saints, yeah, they might have some professional pride. Yeah, until Spencer Rattler throws 3 balls, and then that's done. Like, I'm you guys know I'm not that high on the Cardinals overall. Like, I call them the highlight show. Like, but do you really have to be that good against the Saints? This team looks so bad. Like, consensus, the worst team in the league when this league has the Cleveland Browns with Joe Flacco at quarterback. Like, and it is just hands down, they are 32 out of 32. Like, they should cover this number, the Cardinals. If all the love that the Cardinals get and their coach gets and all this sort of stuff, they should cover this easily. I mean, there's obviously a chance it doesn't happen, yes. But it should, for frickin' sake, happen. Like, it just should happen, okay? And I don't care. I put down no notes. This was just snap number 1. Like, it does not matter to me. Pick winners in week 1. The Cardinals are going to win by fucking 14 points.
You know what's so interesting here, too, is that this season, every survivor pool is just going to be clicking against the Saints every single week. And yet, when I look at projected ownership over at our friend survivorgrid.com, the Cardinals are 3rd, right? Like, people are just scared to, I guess, click a road team, click a Cardinals team that they just don't have a good taste in their mouth from previous history. So I do not see this being popular in Circa whatsoever. And I'm talking about the Cardinals minus 6.5. So the Saints are they're going to be so bad. I don't know what the path is.
I did this last year, by the way, and the Saints won by 40 in week 1. So there's a chance that could happen too. Okay, because I did pick the Panthers last year and the Saints won by 8,000 points. Like, it was ridiculous.
I just don't. What is the path to the Saints, especially on offense, being competitive based on what we saw?
I think it's Olave and Shaheed. I think it's Olave and Shaheed.
You just have to. But the problem is that Shaheed is such a deep ball merchant that you can't even like scheme. I see what you're saying there, Brett, but like even like his crossers and stuff, like you can't run tunnel screen. You can't run the Dolphins offense with Shaheed. That like quick tunnel screen Tyreek game that the Dolphins run. Like that's what's made Tua Tagovailoa an objectively bad quarterback into a highly efficient quarterback, is that they've been able to get the ball into playmakers quickly at the line of scrimmage by design, and those guys make plays. I don't really see Shaheed or Olave being those type of players. I think they both kill people in the intermediate and deep part of football, but I don't see either of them as being like quick play demons. I just don't see the path to the Saints playing good offensive football. And yeah, I think they could get crushed as well. Let's go up to Buffalo.
The Bills make me wanna shout,
where an extensive injury report is not stopping Mo Nuora from clicking the Buffalo Bills against the Baltimore Ravens.
I just thought that the Bills should maybe be -1 here. That being said, this is maybe a pick 'em. This is close. I don't see much value on like betting the Bills really, or like I guess the thing you need to always look at is how does the other team deal with kind of the Bills' 12 personnel and power game, right? I feel like that's maybe the best way to attack the Ravens. I know they were great against the run last year, but this secondary, especially while Jair is going to play, apparently, could be really, really good. And the Bills don't really approach football that way. So if they turn this game into a meat grinder, then I think they've got a chance. But I do think the Ravens are the best regular season team in the NFL. I mean, I have more confidence in the Chiefs in January, but for obvious reasons. But right now, I would take the Ravens roster over anyone, I think. So, you know, I just think they're a bit better than the Bills. Are they so much better that they should be favored on the road? That feels like a slight stretch, but Brett always knows when the Bills play the Ravens. He calls all of the blowout losses, so he's telling me I'm wrong, so he must be right.
Brett, can you do me a favor? If the Bills want a chance in this game, don't they just have to get Ken Dorsey on the line? You gotta throw the ball, man. You gotta be aggressive in this spot, because with these Buffalo injuries, Trey White looking like he's not going to play, you're going to need all the firepower you can get on offense.
It's a good point. I mean, this offense worked against everybody the last few years, but it's not going to work against the Ravens. You can't run on the Ravens like the Bills have done against everybody else. I just don't like this spot for the Bills again. I mean, looking at the line, so the Ravens came here last year. They closed as -1, -1.5 point favorites, and now they're sitting in most books at +1, +1.5, despite being healthier and probably a stronger roster too. And Circa has made this Ravens -1, which I love, because Mo, everyone's going to look at the number like you did and say, why are the Bills underdogs? Why is there a plus next to Buffalo? I think the Bills are going to be super popular in the contest. But Baltimore to me is a better team with a better coach. They've been preparing for this game for a while with that better coaching staff, remembering what happened in Buffalo a few months ago. I just expect them to come in with a better game plan, attack the advantages they have on the field, and there are a lot of them on offense. Derrick Henry bullied this team on the ground last year, and the Bills can't just stack the box against him, because that leaves now this battered secondary vulnerable to deep throws, to Flowers, to Bateman. It's just a really poor setup for Buffalo this week, and yeah, for the contest especially, the Ravens just have to be the side with Circa moving this through a meaningless number. I think the Bills are going to be a top play. It could be one where a lot of people on the Ravens too. This is one of those games where people just have an opinion. But
Isn't
I do think
this game of the week and just both top 5?
Still, though, I do think there will be
the DK handle right now on Baltimore. So yeah, I lean towards everybody having an opinion on this game. Donnie, by the way, was that quintuple or sextuple circled over there?
Because I lost
that's
count.
all.
But you need to have
literally all the
like when I do that.
That's all the Ravens have been doing the past couple of months is circling this matchup after that Mark Andrews drop and loss in the playoffs last year. All right, Brett, we're going to keep it with you, and I'm very sure that this is a divisional game, as the Monday night cap on week 1, the Minnesota Vikings travel to Chicago to take on the Bears, and Brett is laying 1.5 with J.J. McCarthy in his first start in pro football.
I don't have much here. I think this is a fair line. I just trust KOC with his new quarterback over Ben Johnson with his quarterback in a new system for the first time. That's really what it comes down to. and that's the cap.
This
You
might be
hate
stubborn
Caleb
AF.
Williams.
You do hate Caleb Williams.
I don't
As
hate
anti-
Caleb Williams. I think this is. I mean, I think Caleb Williams is super talented, and now that he's got a coordinator with a brain, Caleb Williams could be awesome this year. I just don't trust it yet. I want to see it first with Ben Johnson.
This might be a rule of stubborn, and I'm trying to be as less stubborn as possible. Shout outs to ODB this season, but you just cannot get me to lay points on the road in a divisional spot with JJ McCarthy in this game. And I love KOC. I think what KOC did last year with Darnold is some of the best coaching you will ever see in pro football. But at the end of the day, the guy with the helmet under center who touches the ball on every single play still has to execute. And we know Darnold from a talent perspective, when everything is clean and everything is blocked for him, we know Darnold met the threshold to execute that. We had seen it at USC. We had seen it at his peak in New York, even in Carolina, and we just haven't seen it from JJ McCarthy, a guy who played on a run-first Big Ten collegiate Harbaugh team who it's just not been asked of him to make these type of plays against an NFL defense, and an NFL defense as good as the Bears projects to be. Some interesting injuries here. This is, of course, a Monday game, so only 1 day of injury reports, but I don't like seeing, as a Bears backer, TJ Edwards with a hamstring injury as a DNP. Today, he plays a critical role at linebacker for them. So that is something to certainly keep an eye on. But yeah, I just refuse to lay points with JJ in this spot. DP, this soft bubbled your top five.
Yeah, I'm with you, Rich. And you know, Brett, you said, you know, you have to show me. Well, I would say the same thing to JJ McCarthy. Like, you got to show me in what I think is a pretty tough spot. I don't think that Chicago necessarily gets a lot of love as a really tough place to play, but I think it's fair. Like, I think that fan base comes to support their team. I think they have a really good defense there. And this is a super big spot for a guy who, I know it's technically his second year, but is a rookie. I mean, so I have to just take the points in this spot. And I know some of that is some blind faith in believing in Ben Johnson and what he's ultimately able to do with Caleb and that offense. But I mean, I think you're kind of just flipping coins there, because you can do the same thing on the other side with JJ McCarthy. So, you know, I think this one, with all those things considered, I mean, why isn't just more a pick or Bears -1 or something like that? You know, I don't know. To just make the Bears underdogs here, I think is, I don't know, questionable to me at least. That's where I'm at.
I've got the Texans, Dolphins, and Lions, a trio of road teams. Brett's got the Vikings. Mo has the Saints and Bills. All right, boys. Let's make the first card of the 2025 season.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, fire.
I didn't bring up last year at all because we had a horrific year. It was one of those bury the ball, burn the tape, don't even think about what happened in the previous game types of years for the collective. Ya boy was the only member of the collective to have an above 500 season at 52.8%. So I am up first here in week one, and I am going full homer, baby. Whoop. They gave us, as I dropped my hat on video, I was too excited. They gave us the full 3 in the contest. I'm seeing 2.5 in real life. Is this going to be impactful? My brain says yes, it is going to be impactful if this number doesn't actually get to 3 in real life, because people love taking value. However, I have not heard a single person say a positive thing about this matchup in favor of Gang Green, especially after Elijah Vera Tucker tore the triceps in his other arm and it is now out for the season. The silver lining here is that because John Simpson has been dealing with an issue all camp, the Jets have essentially been operating as if Joe Tippmann was a guard and Josh Myers was a center. So they have been practicing literally 4 weeks for this scenario. So Tip is ready to jump in at guard, and Myers will play the center position with which he played last year and the last couple of years for the Green Bay Packers. This is just a horrific spot for the Steelers. It really is. The Steelers, when they play at home, when they play against defenses that can't play press man, that can't be aggressive, that can't stop the run, I think the Steelers will be able to run this methodical, slow Arthur Smith offense and have some success. The Jets had a big weakness at defensive tackle and then went out and traded for a couple of vets, Harrison Phillips, chief amongst them, who they just needed a warm body next to Quinnen Williams, and they did not have one on the roster. Now, I'm much more comfortable with this defensive front. And honestly, I think the only weakness on this defense is at the safety position. And I don't think anybody on this podcast thinks that Aaron Rodgers is going to be driving the ball downfield. So I'm not really worried about Andre Sisco having to defend deep passes against DK Metcalf. I just do not see Rodgers throwing the ball downfield. So if I don't think Pittsburgh can get out and push a lead and dominate the Jets and score on offense, I just don't see a scenario with which they can be this heavily favored on the road. And I know I've gone a very long time without mentioning Justin Fields and the limitations that this Jets offense is likely going to have this season. But this is kind of a dreamy matchup when the Steelers are already down a defensive tackle and with Derek Harmon. And there's a chance that most likely Cam Hayward is just being pissy, and come game day, he will show up and play for Pittsburgh. But at this juncture, him walking out on practice today, like there's a chance that Cam Hayward doesn't play in this game, and the Steelers are without two defensive tackles. So I think the Jets can establish it a little bit. I don't think they'll need to do much on offense in a low-scoring game with Pittsburgh. So yeah, I think, and then obviously the last bit is just this team hated Aaron Rodgers. The guys in this locker room hated Aaron Rodgers. This dude went on McAfee and called Aaron Glenn the coach and was very disrespectful to that process. So I think there's going to be a lot of animosity and a lot of hate from the Jets side, which I don't think the Steelers will have for Justin Fields, who was allegedly like a very loved guy in the locker room. So quadruple circled, low scoring, home dog, Jets, 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 Jets. This was a consensus pick. Brett, you were the lowest on Gangrene. Love to hear your trepidations.
I don't really have any. I think part of it is just the number. I think this probably will get to 3, though. I haven't really been watching it this week. Mo, what do you think?
It's looking heavily juiced on the 2.5s that you find. So I'm feeling like it's going to at least be 3 at some point. Obviously, the contest closes at a certain time. So, maybe it goes to 3 before or after, and that has an influence. So, yeah, I'm unsure.
At Penny, the minus 2.5 is minus 120 right now, which on Pinnacle is like a boatload of juice. So, yeah.
I don't really have a whole lot of trepidation. I picked Jets. You know better than I do what this offensive line is going to look like without their best offensive lineman out for the season. That was my biggest concern, really, is like what does this offensive line look like against Hightower and Watt and that crew?
Yeah, I mean, this is one of those where, from a live betting perspective, if the Steelers do find a way to get out and get into a lead, like we should be live betting the Steelers, because any scenario with which the Jets become a pure drop back passing team, they're going to get their asses kicked, especially against the defensive front as good as Pittsburgh's. So yeah, if you're watching this game, you're probably not keyed in onto this as probably red zoned or maybe in your 4 box at 1 p.m. with 8 games going on. But if the Steelers do score first, score early, get out to a lead, I think Steelers live might be the play because, if the Jets have to play pure drop back football, they're going to get cooked. But if this is a neutral state, a positive state for the Jets, I think they can hang in and win this game outright. Next up is Mo. And we return to the split game segment.
Yeah, sorry, Brett. But I got the Bengals. I hate this week. I mean, I don't know what you guys want from me, but I thought this line was off, and I think the Bengals, basically everything Donnie said about how he feels about Cardinals against Saints, that's kind of how I feel about the Bengals here. I think they could just come out and smack the Browns.
I love it.
DP loves it too because DP's piling on with the chalk.
Yeah, of course. I had the Bengals in my top 5, and I'm also going to put the Cardinals on.
Oh, my
all these favorites.
Road favorite. Week 1 road favorites.
These
Mo
are the
and Donnie
stories
have
that
a
worked out
script.
great for us.
Yeah, Mo and Donnie
I don't
have
care.
the
I'm
script.
just trying to pick winners in week 1, and I'll go from there, okay?
Just hashtag winners.
If we go 5-0
All right.
the whole damn way, I don't care about leverage. And leverage
He's
smeverage.
right, He's right, He's absolutely. If we go 90-0, I guarantee we won't lose this contest. All right, Brett, bring us back to reality. A consensus pick. Another team we've discussed all offseason, like your Packers, like your Cardinals, and another New York team.
Yeah, I've got the New York Giants against the Commies. I want to talk process a little bit because we're probably going to have new listeners to the show this week. So I want to explain my logic of thinking here as we start the season. I said last week or 2 weeks ago, one of the things I was looking at going into week 1 is where this number was trending and what Circa would do with this game. Because if we're given anything short of 7, the Giants would be a strong play for me, as they are, because it's sitting at 6 in Circa. But even at like 5.5, I would have loved the Giants. And people are going to hear that and say, what the hell are you talking about? You want more points for the underdog because you're going to cover more often. Yes, mathematically that is true. That's how distributions work. But we're playing in a contest. These changes off the key numbers can create pretty seismic shifts in pick popularity in the contest. And enough shift that it actually does create EV opportunity on the side that is losing the closing line value, which is the case here with the Giants off of where it was last week, 2 weeks ago, whatever. But that's where I am on this game. I don't always take these spots. This one really just comes down to team evaluations. I love the Giants this year against the market. I am down on the Commanders. I think these two teams are headed in opposite directions, opposite regression paths. I talked about the Giants all offseason as a sneaky defensive monster because of what they've done with this defensive line. These guys have game wreckers up front. They can completely alter offensive game plans. That's probably their only strength, but we're talking about the part of football that can swing possessions, create turnovers, add variance to the game. And I think the Giants are going to be able to do that here against a team that had all the variance in their favor last year. The Commanders, just looking at what they accomplished last year in high leverage, they ranked first in the NFC in red zone percentage on the road. They had the highest fourth down conversion rate in NFL history, 20 for 23 on fourth down. And they went forward a lot. That's not sustainable. And you can say what you want about Jaden Daniels taking the next step. He's great. He might be better this year, but they can't possibly run that back with the same efficiency in those spots. I think the Commanders take a step back. I think it could start here against a divisional foe, a team that was terrible against the spread last year, that didn't win any games last year. Nobody's giving credit to the Giants. And this is, again, a rule of NFC East underdog. So I love the Giants in this spot.
Giants were also in Donnie's top 5. They were in the middle of Mo's card, the first game that did not receive confidence points. I'm the lowest on the Giants in this spot. I do wish we were getting a half point more. We're just putting a lot of faith into Russell Wilson on the road. But I do understand a lot of the Commanders' points. Chief amongst them, we want to talk regression, is the quarterback itself, right? We saw C.J. Stroud have an immaculate rookie campaign and come splattering back to earth in his sophomore season. And it's not like Jaden Daniels is immune to that as well. So, yeah, it's week 1, divisional game, a lot of points. I'm very much on board with this Giants pick. All right. Let's get to a third consensus pick and the first collective selection of the season.
The collective chooses the Atlanta Falcons.
I'm a bit worried about this one. This is another one of those where if you asked me a couple weeks ago, home dog, divisional spot, Michael Penix's excitement, love the weapons on Atlanta, love the additions they made up front on defense, this would have been an absolute slam dunk, no-brainer, put it near the top of my card. But I am very, very worried about this Jack Nelson injury, guys. You know, it's tough to enter into week 1 without your tackle. Of course, Tampa Bay going through the same pain point with Tristan Wirfs on their bookend, but we could just be wrong about the Bucs, right? Everyone's screaming regression candidate, lost Liam Cohen. They might not be the same. We could just be wrong, but maybe I'm just worrying too much. Division spot, home dog, everyone just penciling in the Bucs as division winners. Brett, talk me off the ledge. Talk me off of being worried about the Atlanta Falcons.
Because this is wrong team favored. I probably would have made this a pick or Falcons -1, but yeah, like you said, key injuries to the Bucs as well. Wirfs out for a few games. Vita Vea is not practicing. Doesn't look like he's trending towards playing. Obviously, Chris Godwin is out. I heard Kay Adams say this morning that Tampa Bay is going to the Super Bowl. There are a lot of people high on this team. Where is this coming from? Are people remembering the
Baker
Bucs
Mayfield
season
top 5?
through?
Mo.
Yeah,
but
great,
Mo was told
but,
that Baker Mayfield's top 5.
They barely got into the playoffs. They needed a lot of bounces to go their way to get into the playoffs last year. And like Washington, they ran way above expectation in a lot of luck factors. I mean, what was the one I saw? They were number 1 in field goal percentage on the year, and their opponents, I think, were dead last, opposite. There was another one, too, for the Falcons. Falcons opponents went 11 for 11 from 50-plus yards last year. So, like, on the other end, historic bad luck for Atlanta last year. Yes, a lot of their games are in domes, but, like, these numbers are absurd. I think this is just two teams colliding, much like the Giants and the Commanders again. So, I think this is a bad line. I think this should be Falcons favored.
That's steamy. Well, what about you? You made a lot of faces during that.
I just think it's the fact that Brett is talking about kickers is just warms the coldest cockles of my heart.
But like we're talking about plays that put points on the board. Like you're making 11 of 11 from 50 plus. How are you supposed to win games when teams are doing that against you?
Yeah, and then obviously like Younghoe Koo had a pretty bad year last year,
yes, he
right?
did.
So maybe he bounces back. I think part of it, he was playing hurt, I believe. So that's definitely within reason. And you know, I just think this Tampa Bay offense is ready for some serious regression. I turned on another podcast today that was going through Tampa Bay, and guess what, guys? They told me something called, sorry, I need to double check his name. Josh Grizzard is going to be a great offensive coordinator. I've never seen this guy's name in my life, dude. And he just has to come out and call a pro football game, and I'm just supposed to think this team isn't going to miss a beat? Like, I don't know what this offense is going to look like, man. They had guys get head coaching opportunities the last 2 years. What are the chances that Todd Bowles is just an absolute genius and knows how to hire every offensive coordinator? I mean, I don't know. Like, I've never seen this guy's name before. So I'm just supposed to expect him to just come out and crush it. And this defense it's thin, it's old. I had this as a pick too. I just don't, these weapons are not inspiring to me, if I'm being honest, without a healthy Chris Godwin. Like, I know everyone in the world thinks Emeka Egbuka is going to be a fantasy superstar. Guys, I watched him at Ohio State and I never thought he was very good. So I don't know where that's coming from. I thought he was just like, okay. I'm stunned that he ended up being a first round pick. Based on everything I saw, like, I don't know, man. I think Tampa Bay is quite overrated, especially without Tristan Wirfs. And we're going to have to see the Falcons do some good work with these young players they have on defense. So it's a bit of a roll of the dice in that sense. But I think Baker Mayfield highly likely to regress, and this offense in general, highly likely to regress.
Someone needs to contact Pablo Torre, because I just looked up something Josh Grizzard, and on his wiki it said he played safety at Yale in 2008. That's when he started. So of course, my first inclination was to look up Josh Grizzard's Rivals profile and ask Mo how many stars something Grizzard was. He has some now on 3, unfortunately, links. They're all broken. Something fishy going on here with Josh Grizzard and his on 3 profile. Pablo Torre, that's the next big story that you can break. Yeah, you guys have convinced me. I just fear that I'm way too panic-spilled, because what really gets me excited, going full circle back to talking about Cam Ward, everybody pointed towards that Washington Huskies offense and the draft capital that the receivers got. What if Jalen Pope sucks, right? What if McMillan, who was fine last year, is just fine, right? Like, what if the guys he was passing to weren't actually the caliber with which they got drafted at? What if Michael Penix was just him, and now he has Drake London, Kyle Pitts, and Bijan Robinson? And that could be some really exciting stuff down in Atlanta. All right, so the card. Falcons, Jets, Bengals, Cardinals, Giants. Week 1. This is a long one, guys. 3 games, 3 consensus games. We can buzz through these that did not make the card, but all 4 of us are on the same side. Raiders at Patriots. We were all taking the 2.5 points with the traveling Las Vegas Raiders. DP, you don't have the highest opinion on this game. In fact, you have the lowest, but it is 2 games that affect you. One's in your backyard. One is your former swoon. So tell us why you ultimately clicked Vegas here.
No, I got nothing. I mean, I don't know. Feels like a lot to lay 2.5 with
This is great stuff.
With the unknown that is New England. Like, yeah, I think they're going to be better on the offensive line. I think Drake May looks decent enough that I would expect him to, take another step forward. I like the fact that Mike Vrabel is in there because, I just think that he's an adult in the room when they had absolute clown show in the coaching seats last season. So I think there has to be some improvement there, and I want to be bullish on them. But I know you guys aren't as bullish as I am, so that's one thing that kind of gives me pause, that makes me question my thoughts here. I also can say a lot of those same things on the other side of the ball. I mean, Pete Carroll, you can say what you want about him, but I think he's way more of an adult in the room than they've had before. I think they certainly got an upgrade at the quarterback position. I do think Max Crosby can just be a one-man wrecking crew on defense if this offensive line ultimately isn't up to par. So I have my worries, and I just think that this line is asking a little bit too much right now. Like, I feel like it should probably be a 1.5. And, I don't know. It just feels rich. And I feel like some of that is here in Vegas, there is a lot of talk about the Raiders, and it's a lot of positive stuff. Yes. But elsewhere, I don't know. I don't necessarily hear elsewhere. But what I do hear elsewhere is I hear everyone all talking about the freaking Patriots. That's all I hear. And like, so as much as I want to be bullish on them, anytime I feel like I'm going with the crowd, I do get generally kind of worried and maybe I question myself. So, I said, listen, this is a really tough spot for New England to open up the season here. I mean, this Raiders team I think they're going to be, I'll say, frisky in a lot of spots. Like, I don't think they're going to necessarily blow doors. I have no idea if they're going to make the playoffs or not, but I think they're going to surprise a lot of teams and a lot of people ultimately who are like, oh, the Raiders just won? Like, I mean, yeah, the Raiders can probably get frisky in a lot of spots here. So, I don't know. This is a really tough test for the Patriots coming out of the gate. And like we've been saying with a lot of these different spots, I kind of need to see it before I'm willing to like just be like, yeah, maybe me coming into the season, my thoughts on like the offensive line improving and all this sort of stuff is right, but I think I'm not willing to just blindly dive in yet. So I got to see some of it, and I think the Raiders are set up pretty nicely here.
One of the things affecting this game is some of these injuries to start the season. I think people just don't focus on them, right? Because they're in preseason mode, and we've been talking about these teams at such a high level for so long. Christian Gonzalez hasn't practiced since July. He is not playing in this game. And he is probably the most important player on this defense because he allows them to do things in coverage.
Probably.
What do you mean?
He is.
Oh, the most important?
Hands down.
think you can make a case. I think you can make a case for Barmore when Barmore is at full strength. The types of things that you can creating internal pressure like Barmore are crazy. But who knows with him coming off of his blood clots, right? Last year, like, I think there's just a lot of questions not answered yet about this Patriots team. The same can obviously be said about the Raiders, a team with a new coach and a new quarterback. But yeah, I think 56% of the handle on the Patriots, all the love, this 9.5 win total. I'm ready for them to come crashing down to earth, and I really like the Raiders in the spot. It was hard for me to select between the Jets or the Raiders as to who to put at the top of my card. Chiefs Chargers. Let's go down to Sao Paulo. Let's put the most famous player in the NFL on a field that took the MCL of a quarterback last year. That seems like a fantastic idea. Roger Goodell. Mo, I want to get your opinion on this game. We're all on the Kansas City Chiefs, and you've got one of the highest opinions with Kansas City in your top 5.
Yeah, I feel like this should maybe be 3.5. I mean, if the Chiefs are the Super Bowl contender that I think they are and the market thinks they are they not at least a field goal better than I think Brett used the greatest word to describe, this is just a mid team, dude. The Chargers are very mid. Yes, they continue to give the Chiefs problems. I just feel like if I let myself think that, I'm not being rational and like looking at these rosters and just understanding that this Chargers team is probably mediocre. I mean, Keenan Allen is now penciled into the starting lineup. I mean, that's not great, I don't think, when Chicago, a team absolutely starved for offense, did not care to bring him back to the team. And then this defense that I just think isn't great, especially up front. I mean, you don't pressure Mahomes. You let Andy Reid mix in the run effectively. I don't really know how you're going to stop this Chiefs offense. I think Isaiah Pacheco is probably going to do some damage in this game. I think teams are going to be able to pound the rock on this Chargers team, man. I know that that's like anti-everything that Jim Harbaugh lives for and wakes up for every morning of his life, but I just don't see the personnel without Poona Ford, and then just a very, very mediocre front seven. I just think the Chiefs are a cut above this team and should probably be at least -3.5 here. So I did take the Chiefs. That being said, it's hard to have a lot of confidence in a game that is being played in a foreign country.
I think that's the perfect cap from the collective. We'll round it out with Niners at Hawks. We are all on the home dog here. We're all backing Sam Darnold against Kyle Shanahan. But we've talked about this since the preseason, Brett. What is this Niners offense going to look like? Juwan Jennings suddenly healthy. Suddenly the calf is feeling great now that he has incentives added to his contract. But what is this Niners offense going to look like? Brett, against a Seahawks defense second year with McDaniel, right? McDaniel. I always confuse. Is he singular and Miami is plural? McDonald. There he is. The former Ravens defensive coordinator, now Seahawks head coach. A Seahawks defense that looks great on paper and looks like it could be a rude awakening for this Niners offense that, again, Brett, we just don't know what we're going to get out of these guys.
Yeah, I mean, Jennings coming back, that matters. I don't think he's a guy who needs to be playing the entire preseason for him to get back into a rhythm with Brock Purdy. They looked great together last year. That's kind of where I landed on this, is like I would have loved the Seahawks if Jennings wasn't playing, because then it's like who's up next? Who are they throwing the ball to? Who's in this offense? I thought this line was pretty fair, but I ended up kind of sticking with my priors and taking Seattle.
Nobody had this higher than an 8 out of 15. So we all had it, but nobody had the confidence to even put it at the bottom of their card. Okay, so that is the week 1 slate out of the way. And just because it's last doesn't mean it's not important. It might be the most important aspect, and that is Survivor. So much money up for grabs, so much strategy to be had. The folks that are out there, the Circa Survivor contest is especially challenging because in addition to the 18 weeks of which you need to select a winner, ties get you eliminated. There are 2 island slates with Thanksgiving and Christmas where you have to select a game on those small slates. So one of the challenges is, who do you save? Do you save them all? There are going to be very definitive bottleneck situations those weeks where people are saving the same team, and it might give you some phenomenal leverage opportunities deeper into the season. But you have to remember all of those teams that are playing on those island slates when you address the early weeks. The projected most popular picks this week are going to be, looks like, it depends. If people who submitted early and got onto it, I could see this Eagles being a little bit popular, but how popular is it going to be? I don't know. The other most popular one is for sure going to be the Denver Broncos, 8.5-point favorites at home against the Tennessee Titans. And then there are a couple, the aforementioned Cardinals are in there. But again, I think people might be a little bit worried about backing a road team in that spot. And then who would be the next most popular? I guess it would be those Washington Commanders -6 at home against the Giants. So,
and then probably the Bengals after that.
Okay, so yeah, I'll start things off. And these are leans because I think talking out Survivor is a lot more important than talking out the card for strategy purposes. I am currently leaning the Cincinnati Bengals because I think amongst the favorites this week, they will have the lowest share of popularity. And the only spot that I like for them remaining on the season is home Jets, which is going to be massively popular that week. So I'm pretty happy just getting the Bengals out of the way here. And that's kind of where I'm leaning. Brett, what about you?
Yeah, just looking at the Bengals, that week 8 against the Jets, they will be popular. Yeah, because the other big favorites that week are going to be Philly, Baltimore, Buffalo, and people are going to want to save Buffalo and Philly and Baltimore as well.
Use them early. They're just going to blast
early.
off.
Yeah, so I could see. Yeah, I think you're right. I think Cincinnati would be super popular. You're asking what I'm looking at this week.
Where are you at?
I don't mind flipping a coin in week 1. There's just so much unpredictability and some anticipated chalk.
I will say, to cut you off, I have been playing around with our friends over at Pool Genius, and I put in the Circa inputs. They told me to click the Jags.
That's who I have.
Oh, okay. I thought I was going to come in here and talk crazy about the Jaguars, but I also wanted to pick the Jaguars.
That's who I have.
First of all, if you're going to pick the Jaguars, this is the week because there's nothing else really.
Yeah.
They don't play on the holiday islands. And if you do, I was also leaning Cincy, but there is a case that you can save them for Thanksgiving just to have all those teams available, right? So I was also thinking Jacksonville.
The other
I thought
part
I was
of it
going to come in here and tell you guys how
No.
crazy I was and how much I want to punt off week 1 while you guys take the safe plays. And I guess, okay.
But I don't know that there are any safe plays. And the thing about Denver and Arizona, I mean, I've been talking about Denver and Arizona all offseason, but I think
Denver's a safe play. Denver
They
is a,
are,
is a,
but-
is a safe play.
They
There's never safe with a rookie quarterback, though. Like, what if he's just Jaden Daniels? I mean, I know that he got his ass kicked week 1, but what if he's just week 10 Jaden Daniels?
But that's the exact point. That's the exact point, is that like even an amazing quarterback, and Jaden Daniels is amazing. He got his ass kicked week 1 on the road last year. Mo, where are you at, buddy?
You guys have given me more confidence in my play. I was so scared to take the Cardinals, but now I'm.
Oh, whew. I thought you were going to say.
Now I'm
I thought
ready
we were
to
gonna be
fire off on the
triple
Cardinals.
Jags. I almost had a heart attack.
No, definitely not. But I feel like the Cardinals are the play. I don't love them in basically the rest of the year. And for the other top teams, like you guys said, some of them are. I mean, maybe for people who don't know, the holiday slates, you have to pick a team on Thanksgiving and Christmas. And like the Eagles play the Thanksgiving slate because they're the Black Friday game. The Commanders play the Cowboys on Christmas. They are at home. They are probably going to be fairly significant favorites in that game. And the other Christmas games are Lions at Vikings and Broncos at Chiefs, which I don't think a lot of people are going to be excited to play. So basically, like I told you guys in the chat, I want to have both Washington and Dallas available so that if everyone is saved Washington, then I can pick Dallas. And if they didn't save Washington, then I can pick Washington. Mm-hmm. So if people don't understand that and think I'm crazy, maybe I am, but that's a large game theory play that you can look up.
Arizona has, I mean, next week could be a decent spot for Arizona. I mean, if Arizona is as good as we think they are and the Carolina defense is as bad as we think it is, next week might be a fine spot for Arizona at home against the Panthers. And
week 5 as well. They're at home against Tennessee. So those are the
that
two.
could be the spot. That could be the spot. Week 5 could be the spot where, Cameron Ward is actually excellent and the rug comes out and he wins a road game. So that's one of the reasons.
I'd rather gamble on, if you're going to go Arizona, I'd rather gamble on them in week 1, still with some kind of unknown factor. They're on the road. You have that element versus allowing them to, let's say they do go out there and they blow doors against the Saints, then everyone's going to pick them next week. Like,
it's valid.
So there's that. I will also say that I just wanted to add something on Cincy because they do play that Thanksgiving Black Friday week. But my argument, because they were one of my, I was thinking between Arizona, Cincy, and Jacksonville. And my argument for, even though I do want to keep all the teams for those holiday slates, Cincy has Baltimore on the road, which is likely not going to ever be picked unless like Lamar is hurt. But then in that case, everyone's going to pick Cincy anyway. So it's like either way, it kind of doesn't matter to burn them early.
But they won't have Cincy. Only you will.
I mean, I don't know. Sometimes these people like to keep all those teams. I mean, I think that's becoming kind of more and more of a thing as this contest kind of, in a way, wisens up a little bit.
Cincinnati, it's literally going to come down to week 8, right? Like, if all those other teams are not available or they're being saved, Cincinnati week 8 home Jets, they could be like upwards to 50% of the contest, right? And that's going to be the inflection point as to, do you pick them then or do you keep saving them for the island slate? Okay, so for the purpose of the podcast, these things can change. They may change at Gridiron Gamble.
So wait, Rich, who are you thinking?
Cincinnati Bengals is currently my selection. Brett?
Man, if we're on Arizona, Cincy, and Jacksonville, I mean, I hope it fucking burns down week 1 because that'll be glorious for us.
This is what we tried to do last year with Dallas, and it all felt like it worked out perfectly, except Dallas got annihilated. So
it all worked out except the team that we selected got their ass kicked.
Dallas
last year
4%?
should have been the year we made a run.
Yep.
Yeah, with so much carnage early on. And we sat here and told you guys, do not click the Cincinnati Bengals last year against the Patriots. We told you guys. I can't say the same ferocity this year about the Broncos. I think the Broncos are going to kick the crap out of the Titans. And I don't think they're going to have as large a share because, well, I guess in Circa they might
30,
because of
30%.
Washington. Yeah.
Could be 30%.
Because of Washington being a future island game and because I don't know how many people click the Eagles. So, all right. For the pod, I've got the Bengals. Brett has
Probably Jags.
Mo has
No, probably. I'm feeling good now. Cardinals.
and Donnie also has
Leaning Jags, might flip a coin between Cardinals and Jags.
I'm not taking
Great.
Cardinals. So.
great. Week 1, baby.
Let's go.
Donnie, how much of a relief was it when the word Jaguars came out of our mouths?
I mean, I was just going to say, like, I feel like I'm ready to punt week 1. But I have, like, one path lined up that's, like, fucking banana land over here.
You've got to use 20 teams, and the Jags are, like, fringy top 20 teams, and you're not going to use them again. So, like, just get them out of the way. Pray to the gods.
This is rule of every week counts, right? At some point during this, you're gonna have to take a 3.5 3-point favorite many times actually during a 20 week.
And even if you guys were let's say like you guys were on. I mean, I know this would never happen, of course, but let's say you guys were on Broncos and you're like telling me that I'm crazy for being on the Jags. I'd be like, well, let's have our one crazy punt entry and I'll happily take the bullet for that. Like not a big deal. You know, let's do that. Like I think it's good to have, I think it's good how we do it where we have multiple entries and we can kind of have different paths. I mean, sometimes we might converge, yes, but I think it's good to differentiate a little bit if you can afford to do so. So
yeah, and on the Broncos too, if a lot of people do select them this week, they have home Giants, home Cowboys, home Raiders. Like there are going to be many spots.
Their schedule is so nice. it is juicy.
Many spots down the line to take them at much lower ownership. So for those of you screaming into your device, just take the Broncos. There's an added element of not only fading the public, but also having better opportunities down the road. Follow these guys on Twitter at Brett Colson, COLLSON, at Donnie_Peters, and at myself. No, at Monora, NUWWARAH. Week 1. That's the last time I can say it. The last time I can say it. Week 1. Week 1 is here. It's 21-20 at halftime. I have Dallas Cowboys plus 8.5 and money bet line in my account. Sweating this out. Hopefully this comes home. Best of luck in your betting ventures. See you guys next week. Peace.